Încet, foto.
You're getting closer to the truth. Keep looking into this. Ask the politicians, ask the judges. You're getting closer to the truth.
We have an update for you on Andrew Tate. One of the biggest questions that we focused upon is why are Tate and his brother Tristan continue to be locked up in Romania? Give you a brief reset here. We know that the social media star and former kickboxer, his brother, and two others were arrested in late December on human trafficking and rape charges. Prosecutors allege the defendants, quote, created an organized crime group with the purpose of recruiting, housing, and exploiting women by forcing them to create pornographic content meant to be seen on specialized websites for a cost. They described how there are six alleged victims who were sexually exploited, and that, quote, an injured person was forced on two different occasions by a suspect through the exercise of physical violence and psychological pressure to have sexual relations. Now, when Andrew and Tristan were arrested at the end of December, a judge had granted prosecutors' request to extend their detention by 30 days. The brothers appealed, it was denied, and most recently, as we reported here on Sidebar, the judge extended that detention another 30 days to February 27th. So we were trying to understand why. Well, now the judge is explaining why. Let me bring back in Romanian lawyer Stefan Loredan, who is our expert on this matter. Stefan, it's great to have you here. I'm going to get right into it. So the judge issues a written statement, and what he describes is, quote, the particular dangerousness of Andrew Tate and Tristan in terms of their ability to target women. One quote is their capacity and effort to exercise permanent psychological control over the victims, including by resorting to constant acts of violence. The judge considers them to be the culprits rather than the traffickers who obtain huge profits from exploiting them, and then outlined some of the behavior like the lover boy method, which we talked about as a way to entice women. What did you make of the statement from the judge?
So this is actually not the statement that the judge has made. It's actually the statement that the prosecutor has made with his request of extending the arrest for 30 days. In which, of course, the judge accepted and he agreed with, since he accepted the prosecutor's request for the 30 days extension.
So let me get this straight. This is not the judge's words. This is the prosecutor's words that the judge okayed and signed off on.
Exactly. This is the prosecutor's argument for why he requested from the judge the extension of 30 days. And he had two main points. This is the first one that you just spoken about, you told us about. And the second one will be that they present like a flight risk, escaping the country. And the prosecutor actually showed the judge a video where Andrew Tate says that he has 19 passports and he owns citizenship in Nigeria, in Estonia, in UK, in USA, right? So that's it.
Here's my concern. I'm looking at this, and correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't the statement say that prosecutors hadn't fully clarified the facts of the case, but in the statement, it did not eliminate, quote, a reasonable suspicion that the defendants had committed the crimes that they were being investigated for? Because from an outside perspective, right, Andrew Tate has said they're just being locked up while they looked for evidence. If I'm reading this statement, there's a lot of allegations, but to see that the prosecutors haven't fully articulated what the facts are, that makes me nervous. Am I looking at it the wrong way?
No, you are definitely not looking at the wrong way. What you also need to understand is that the prosecutor might actually have a lot of evidence that is holding back, and he only presented a few of them, which was enough so far to be able to put them on arrest for 60 days and to ask for a two extension time, so 30 days one time and then an extension of 30 days. But he might actually have a lot of evidence. I would also add to that the fact that he has ongoing investigation and he's going on multiple levels in terms of trying to gather further evidence. We spoke about the fact that he ordered multiple rides in different locations in Romania, locations that are owned by Tate brothers, and then other locations which were supposedly owned by some of their business partners, right? Which means that there's a lot of more evidence on the way, if you will.
But do prosecutors have to show something new every 30 days to justify the continued detention?
Yes, actually, they have to show new evidence, or they need to prove that if they are going to be set free, it will be a threat for the investigation, which he did in the second time.
And just clarify what you mean by that, because on our last talk, you had said that the judge could keep extending this for 180 days until maybe the trial starts. What did you just mean by that? That in terms of that justification by the prosecutors?
Yeah, so the prosecutor has to bring new evidence, just like we discussed, right? Or he has to prove the fact that putting the suspects into freedom would lead to the investigation being affected, right? And in this case, you see, because in this case, he argued the fact that if they're going to be set free, they're either going to flee the country or exercise control and psychological pressure on the victim and influence their statements.
See, it's just yes, I can see that. In the United States, that's one of the considerations, flight risk. There's also, there could be an order put in place that you cannot step in a certain amount of feet within alleged victim. You have to cease all contact. It wouldn't necessarily be a grounds to keep someone detained. It's just a little different. I am curious, though, is there something in this statement that says the reason they're locked up as well is due to social tensions and the public order? Because a lot of people have thoughts on this. What does that mean? That they're I don't know what that meant.
100%. In fact, if you remember the first judge that that accepted the 30 days arrest period, he stated that one of the reasons why he accepts this arrest period is that because they are popular persons, and so there's a lot of social media presence and news media presence and eyeballs on the case, and setting them free will create social insecurity, and he doesn't want that, right? Now, if you ask me personally, I feel like right now there's a narrative building up where two of the allegedly six victims are coming up and they're saying that, oh, we are in this case against our will, and that's the prosecutor is corrupt, the legal system is corrupt, and there's a lot of pressure on the legal system, right? And back to my point, I feel like the prosecutor's reputation is on the table, and more than that, if they would be set free right now, then it means that the narrative is confirmed and that the judge and the prosecutor will accept that the legal system is corrupt, and it will make them look bad, in my opinion.
That seems like more of a PR concern than a legal concern. You're locking two people away who haven't been convicted of anything. There's, like they say, reasonable grounds or suspicion that they did something, but because of, and by the way, you tell me if I think I'm off here. I think it was public pressure that they released this statement. I think it was everybody online saying, well, why continue to keep them locked up? And they're looking at social media, they're looking at the media, they're looking at news and saying, oh, we have to issue some statement, some sort of justification, which I will tell you, I don't know, makes me a little uneasy.
Yeah, that they are also expanding right now the charges. At least the prosecutor is in the process of finding out if there's money laundering involved as well, and we might find in my prediction is that in the next coming days we are going to see Tate brothers facing money laundering for real. So that's another crime that is punished with 3 to 12 years, and there are some others maybe in the future.
So Andrew Tate's social media account continuing to write about what's happening to him and having followers respond back and whether or not people are supporting him, that is all having a direct effect on their continued detainment, correct?
I would say so. That's my personal
Mhm.
opinion, at least.
Um, and there was also another allegation put into the statement that the Tates forced women to work continuously for 12 hours with only a 5-minute break. It feels like they're articulating a little bit more of the details than we knew before. What did you make of that?
Well, I know that there are new. So again, the prosecutor is going after older case files. I'll just give you the quick example, right? It seems like 2 years ago, one of his employees, like one girl from the video chat from the camp business, has escaped the location and went to the police station. She wanted to make a complaint, and then the police station called Georgiana, which is another employee of Andrew Tate, a former policeman, right? And uh, because they knew each other, right? And then the victim complaint wasn't taken in consideration. Now, fast forward to 2 years, the prosecutor probably talked with the older victim, and now he went to the police, and now he's also investigating the policeman and the police station for keeping the case file for 2 years locked without doing anything, if that makes sense.
I got to tell you, I'm not trying to defend Andrew Tate. I mean, the allegations are quite serious, but I am a facts and evidence guy, and I do believe in everyone's rights. So looking at what we're seeing here, it's just a little different than what we see. But Stefan, thanks for taking the time, showing us what this means and what it doesn't mean. And as there are new developments, again, would love to have you back on.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
And that's all we have for you here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.